Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Teddy, and in this video, we're going to be looking at different ways to build a fragrance collection based on age, or just different types of approaches. So this is all supposed to be fun, and the whole point of this is to give some different paths and routes that you can take when building your fragrance collection. One thing I'll disclose right at the beginning, fragrances that might be classified in one category or another, I don't think fragrances necessarily need to be put into a box. People don't need to be put in a box. Same thing can be said about fragrances. If you want to wear something that might be in our list that's for an older demographic, go for it. I know I do that all the time and vice versa. So I'll probably be wearing certain fragrances when I'm 60 years old that somebody will say, hey, that's a young man scent. I don't care. So that's really what we want to get across first. Now the categories here are 20s and below, 30s, then we have 40s and 50s, and then 60s and above. So Courtney has two categories, I have two categories. I was slated to take on the 20s and below category, so I will begin there. And now one other thing I'll mention too is each category is gonna have three different fragrances. One's going to be one for the hot weather, one's gonna be for the cold weather, and then you have a wild card fragrance. It's gonna be something that could be more versatile, or it could be something that maybe expresses some different type of element that wasn't addressed in one of the other fragrance picks. So that's the whole point of this. So now to begin here, I have my hot weather fragrance, and this is Bvlgari Aquamarine. Now, one thing I noticed when we were doing like blind tests and reactions, this seemed to do really well in the blind test. People just like this. More traditional, has kind of this marine, watery notes, and then fusing with that, you have grapefruit and rolly, mandarin orange, and then cedar at the dry down. So I like this too because it doesn't lean so heavily on the musk compared to some other summer fragrances, which some people I do find off-putting. They almost find it with these aquatic notes, they almost think it comes off as like this damp type of soggy. Yes, exactly. So this doesn't have that, more of kind of this like shower gel, really versatile type of smell. Citrus neroli, woods, oceanic. It's a no-brainer when it comes to the hot weather, and I think this is probably one of the safer options that you're gonna find, and does certainly skew, I think, a little bit younger in terms of what it's going about, but still very buttoned up in its approach. So now for our next one here, something completely different, and this is Azzaro Wanted by Night. This fragrance does a couple things, very different. Now this is not the most expensive fragrance in the world, but it does things that I think are a bit more experimentative than you might find from this designer pack. So you have cinnamon, a bunch of fruit off the top. This opening is very bright and it's very sweet. So you have that cinnamon, fruity type of notes, and then also orange off the top, and then vanilla's in the background, and it is there, but as this one dries down, the tobacco will become more apparent. Then you have an incense note that will have some smokiness, and then cedar and leather as it dries down. So it almost has two very different types of experiences. I can almost like completely like bifurcate the experiences. So you have on the front end, this very fruity and bright opening, but definitely very sweet. And then as it dries down, you get more of the kind of the smokiness, more traditional type of masculine. So I think you have to let this one sit on the skin for a while. Winter months, definitely, probably the best time to wear this, but I think offers a nice point of flexibility then compared to that aquamarine that we just looked at.
I also think this one smells more expensive than it is.
I agree.
It smells good.
Or at least it's different, right? It's trying something different. There's nothing conventional about this fragrance, which when you think of a brand like Azzaro, maybe not the first thing that comes to mind, but this is probably one that breaks the mold a little bit. And next up here, we have our wild card pick, and you just mentioned something about smelling more expensive than it is. I think absolutely is the case with this one. So this is Bentley For Men Absolute. I actually think I like this one more than just Bentley For Men. It's close. It's not as boozy sweet as the original. Actually, really, honestly, a completely different idea. So for this one, you're going to have cedar, also frankincense being a main component to this. So it's very interesting, very oriental in terms of what it's going for. Pink pepper, ginger, which that combination is really cool to me. It has this fizzy type of effect, and it almost creates this type of mild sweetness to it when you have those two things working in tandem. Very woody, smells more expensive, and then also incorporates some stuff that's a bit more unique. I know we're talking about two unique fragrances for the winter months, but for some reason, this just feels like somebody that if you're trying to really stretch and do something in a different way, I don't think this overlaps with Wanted by Night. So now to recap here for the 20s category, for my hot weather fragrance, I have Bvlgari Aquamarine. For my cold weather fragrance, I have Azzaro Wanted by Night. And then for my wild card, I have Bentley For Men Absolute. All right, guys, now before we proceed any further with Courtney's picks for the 30s category, we do want to make sure that you're aware of our new section of our site where we have fragrances for sale, but not just any fragrances, some world-class fragrances.
We have some incredible brands on the site. We have Amouage, Creed, DS and Durga, some brands that we love that we know you guys will too.
Yep, this was all curated by us, and also as you're shopping around, you can shop by different concentration level, by if it leans masculine, feminine. We tried to make this really easy to navigate. Definitely use promo code FIRSTORDER at checkout. You can get a discount off your first purchase. That helps us keep bringing this great content to you every single week. Back to the video.
Next, we have our 30s category. Big 3-0 here. And my first hot weather pick is Parfums de Marly Percival. I actually am obsessed with this fragrance, and I don't say that often. Like, for me to say I'm obsessed with something, I have to love it. I've been begging Teddy to wear this every day because it's like addictive. Oh, I just love it. Yeah, this is, if you ask me what my favorite fragrance at the moment is, this is what you're getting. For notes for this one, mandarin, bergamot, peony, ice flower, lavender, amber, nutmeg, and a bunch of other good stuff. So bright and spicy. This is a traditional masculine, and it almost reminds me of a grown-up Fierce from Abercrombie.
Oh, it does.
It just smells like Abercrombie Fierce grown up. So utmost versatility. I adore this one.
Performance is also pretty solid on my skin, especially during the summer months.
Oh, yeah.
It's not overwhelming, and it's a lot of these fragrances from Parfums de Marly, they can be a little bit loud. This one is able to have good performance without being too loud. Even in the summer months, I've been wearing this a little bit more because, again, Courtney was saying that she really liked this on me. So very easy, and also a good gateway if you're trying to get into, we're talking about like niche perfumery for the first time. Oh yeah. Very easy to wear. I'd even say that this is easier to wear than Leighton.
It is, which is saying a lot because Leighton is like a beginner niche for sure. Another thing about this one, I have it under hot weather, but I do think this could work all year. I think you could get away with wearing this anytime, anywhere, any place. Maybe that's just because I love it so much, but I think it's great. Okay, next we have one from Mugler. This is Pure Malt, one of Teddy's favorites actually. This is sweet, but not overly synthetic.
The atomizers are a little tough. Some people say you have to cut around the rubber so it's actually easier to press down.
Well, we got it eventually. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a synthetic opening with a milky, rich dry down, which I think that the dry down is way better than the opening.
I'm the exact opposite, to be honest. I love the opening. I love how just fruity it is. It's not crazy, but
no, I like it.
It's sweet.
Notes for this one: it's fruity off the top, malt, whiskey, patchouli, and you definitely get that vanilla in there too. I would say it's kind of an elevated designer in comparison to some of the others that I've smelled.
I agree, and great for the winter months. I believe I wore this for Thanksgiving last year. Very nice. And I know that when it dries down, it does get kind of this wheat type of...
Like a salty wheat?
Yes. Which some people might not like. I know you referred to it as Play-Doh smelling, which, hey, I get it. But I think that's perhaps a little bit overblown, but I love the opening on this one. It's so nice.
It performs really well too.
That's true too. It will stay on the skin, good projection for the first few hours, and then I would say I can still detect it on my skin even 10 hours in. So
and if you spray it on your clothes, it's gonna be right there the next day too. Next here for my wild card, we have Cartier Déclaration d'un Soir. This one is very different than the last two. I think those are a little bit extreme, but this one is perfect for those days where you want to smell ultra versatile. It's mass appealing. It is a bit unique with the rose note in there. For notes for this one, you've got the rose, black pepper, sandalwood, cardamom, caraway, and nutmeg. It's a bit of a spicy rose. It's fresh. It's also clean, which I really like about it. It's just perfect for the office, very versatile.
Some people say this is kind of in that genre of the Prada L'Homme of the world, office fragrance, and I personally prefer this. I also was so surprised that in our kind of blind testing, people like this one, which I thought people might find this one a bit too feminine, or maybe it's a little bit too out there for a traditional designer fragrance, but people liked it, and I think that was a great combination where you can get these unique notes and then also get something that has more mass appeal, at least from our testing. It was a great thing to see.
Yeah, it's very unique, and I think a lot of people could get away with wearing this and really enjoy it. To wrap up my 30s category here, for the hot weather, I have Parfums de Marly Percival. For the cold weather, I have Mugler Pure Malt. And for my wild card, I have Cartier Déclaration d'un Soir.
Now, hot weather. This is a fragrance that I actually sampled, really liked throughout this year, and I think it's perfect for this type of individual. This is more of your elevated summer fragrance. This is Torino21 from Xerjoff. Classic Italian perfumery here, so you have some of the traditional notes. And the tough thing about this one is this is more based on like interpretations when I wear this rather than what they're letting people know about their notes, because this is part of their Join the Club collection. So the whole kind of idea around this is to not disclose all the notes here. So this one, very much about the lemon, but it does have these type of kind of spices and like almost like with basil being something I think people recognize in this fragrance. Rosemary does have this type of mix with the lemon that offers almost like a green type of approach. Also, this is more of a musky fragrance. So we did mention that, you know, earlier some people might not find this as fitting for certain summer months, but I don't find it overbearing to any degree. Nice combination of like freshness in the opening. Then of course with that citrus, it's just very much in a classic like Mediterranean type of lifestyle that I would think from like Italian perfumer of Xerjoff status. So really nice one, elevated, sophisticated, and I think probably one of the cooler Xerjoff releases as of late. So next here for cold weather, this is a fragrance that is a little bit newer to our collection. This is Nishane Ani. Now this is, you had a strong reaction to this too when we sampled this one out. Lovely fragrance. This year we've tried a bunch of different Nishane fragrances, and this one is right in the mix for maybe being my favorite. I think it's your favorite.
Absolutely love it.
So for notes here, we have vanilla, ginger, bergamot, cardamom, blackcurrant, benzoin, sandalwood, and pink pepper. Some things that I like. You have that ginger blast in here. I love that. And you made a really good comment. I liked what you said last time, which you were talking about how this is like a nice, it's almost like a palate cleanser, right? It's like an ability to just really be like fresh. And it's a nice combination when you're dealing with kind of these more resinous notes, because let's be frank, like that has like kind of more a sticky and can be overbearing for many. So this one doesn't have that same effect. And then mixing that ginger with the black pepper, love that combination, as I've talked about on this channel. It does have some like vanilla resinous, but it's again not overbearing, zestiness, and it's just less of that resinous feel while still getting into that lane. And I also just like how this is, you have fragrances that will align with this type of like resinous, benzoin type of approach. This does it with some caution, right? Not leaning so far into it where you can kind of try out this genre before maybe taking the full leap. But wonderful for the winter months, and I think could be appropriate for all ages. I just landed it here just based on price, positioning, and prestige. I think it really nails it on those type of elements.
And I'll say, your next one here too, banger. These are 3 strong fragrance. I love all of these.
This is Memo Russian Leather. We did a video where we were looking at barbershop fragrances. Now this is not so much on the nose barbershop, but it has barbershop elements, and it's one of my favorite Memo Parises that I've tried. So notes here, you have pine, cypress, leather, cedar, lavender, basil, mint. When you get the opening here, it's rather fresh. It does have some of those fougere elements. You have lavender, pine, but it's just very, very entrancing. I love this one.
It's one of those that is like addicting. Like I keep going back to it. I think the leather in it makes it even more masculine.
Cause now, right, cause this, I sprayed this about 20 minutes ago, and you're still getting that pine. You're getting a lot of green here with maybe some cypress. But I think you make a good point with like that leather note. I think that's the secret in the mix that allows this one to maybe separate. It's not a crazy strong leather note, but it's just in the background. It's not loud, but it does help just probably round out the fragrance in a very effective way.
Secret sauce.
Yeah, I see why you like that one. That was nice. And I think it was really crazy you wore this, which I don't think many like women are gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, you know, I tried it. I don't know if it smells as good on me as much as I love it on you. But I do really like that fragrance a lot.
Because this is ultra masculine.
It is.
But I think you liked it so much, you're like, oh, can I pull this off?
Can I make it work? And I probably wouldn't wear it again, but for you, love when you wear that one.
Now for the 40s and 50s category, I have for my hot weather fragrance, Xerjoff Torino21. Then moving into the cold category, I had Nishane Ani. And then to round it out for my wild card, I had Memo Russian Leather. So now our final category, Courtney, 60s and above.
Yep. For my hot weather pick, I chose Mizensir Elixir de Musc. So this one is very powdery.
Yes, it is.
It is lovely. I love when Teddy wears this one. I think that women could honestly pull this one off too, because it's very powdery. You also have iris in there, heliotrope, amberwood, and amber. I do think this one does tend to lean a little bit more mature. Not to say that a younger guy couldn't wear it, but I could see someone who's a little bit older really liking this one. And you've got the genius Alberto Marias here again.
Office safe.
Yes.
100%. It is a tad powdery, so maybe on some of those very, very warm summer days, just be a little bit lighter, but for the most part, it's going to work in a variety of warm weather situations. Maybe not like the bright citrus type of fragrance that maybe some people might suspect when it comes to this time of year, but it's a different change of pace, and I like how it incorporates musk to a really nice degree, and then with iris, you kind of get that kind of clean vibe that you'll find with some of the other fragrances using that note.
All right, for my cold weather, I chose Mancera Oud Exclusif. Again, a bit more mature to me. Notes for this one, we have rose, saffron, oud, labdanum, and violet, and very strong on that saffron note in the beginning.
Yes, on the opening you can certainly get it.
It's a classic oriental type of scent, a floral oud, rose oud, sophisticated, I will say, not the easiest to wear, and that's almost why I picture it on someone who's a little bit older, a little bit more distinguished. Maybe you don't care what anybody thinks, you're wearing what you like, and you're in your lane, so.
I enjoy this one too. I think this is underrated from Mancera. I think one of the most overlooked fragrances. This was one that I was like, hey, this sounds interesting. Is it one that I grab all the time? No, but there are certain days where I'm like, this will work. But I think also when you're talking about this oriental fragrance, where this does really well is it falls in a price range where it's not so out of whack, and then also is a bit more wearable than some of these other ones that are just a tad more out there.
Yeah. All right. Next for my wild card. When you think of the word wild card, this is what you're getting. Serge Lutens, Baptême de Fou. Notes for this one, gingerbread, tangerine, woody notes, powdery notes, osmanthus. For this one, you get a very candied sweetness, a bit of Christmas spice. It smells lived in. It smells like the holidays.
It smells like there is just some baking going on. I don't know if it's like, it's not like anise totally, but it's kind of that degree. Like you get a bunch of these spices, and it does offer up some type of like holiday feel to it in a little way.
Yep, like a tablescape with some gingerbread cookies, some orange peels. Just a beautiful tablescape is kind of what I picture.
But don't take that as in saying like, oh, this is just like, oh, it's warm and very inviting. It's not totally that. What I would actually classify it as is kind of almost like, it's almost a dark and mysterious take on it. It is,
right? It is.
And probably couldn't be worn by everybody, but this is somebody that I think has fine taste, wants to do something a bit more daring, have some fun in the process, and project something that is a little bit heavier out during the winter months.
Very unique. I think, maybe not for everyone, but the right kind of person, this would really work for you. And wrapping up my 60s category here, for my hot weather pick, I have Mizensir Elixir de Musc. For my cold weather pick, I have Mancera Oud Exclusif. And for the wild card, Serge Lutens Baptême de Fou.
All right, guys, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it and you want us to do more of these in the future, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. A good portion of the people that watch are not subscribed, so I'm not trying to point any fingers, but we really would appreciate it if you did subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing to do so as well. But also, if you want to stay up to date with the content, be sure to follow us along on Instagram. We have some great photos of different bottles, a great place to interact with us as well, and to stay in the loop with content that we post here on our YouTube channel. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be well, and we'll see you all next time.